welcome to another Tonic Craft Kit unboxing video. Today's one is for kit number 61, which is called Message in a Bottle, and it sees the first sneak peeks of the brand new 2022 colour trend, Coral Skies, which is the third colour trend for Tonic this year. I think it's the third and final. I haven't heard that there's going to be a fourth one. There seems to only be three now, so I think it's the final colour trend of the year, but it is called Coral Skies, and it's a beautiful collaboration of coral and navy kind of blue colours, so it's really pretty. So let's get on with the unboxing. So we have got our gorgeous bag of Nouveau goodies. And in here we have got an exclusive, and we've also got a couple of sneak peeks from the colour trend as well. So the exclusive product, which I'm pretty sure is not coming out in the main colour trend, but is part of the colour trend, but it's just only coming out in the craft kit. This is the Moonlit Ocean. So a really beautiful deep dark blue mica mist. I have got a sample of it here. Onto white card, so that is just onto white card, and you can see it's quite a moody kind of colour onto white card. However, I've done a tutorial video showing you how I've created a background for a different card, and I was experimenting with using it, mixing it with the Nouveau drops, but experimenting on the other two blue coloured cardstocks you get in the kit, and you can see how the mica pops really nicely on the darkest blue cardstock, or it just gives a really lovely tone on tone look to the denim blue cardstock as well, compared to more of like a moody kind of look onto white card. So it really does depend on what colour card you spray this onto to what kind of effect you're going to get. You could also, if you wanted to splatter this, for example, but you didn't want it to be that moody kind of colour, you wanted it to be a deeper colour, you could mix it in with maybe even just like a watercolour that you've got in a blue colour, and mix in some of the mica. It would give it that mica shimmer, but it would add actual colour to it that's, you know, more of a solid colour than the colour that's in this spray as well. But that is the mica mist that we're getting in here. A really lovely versatile kind of product, and actually because it is quite a sheer kind of colour, even though it's got that blue tint to it, it's kind of a sheer colour, so you could spray this over the top of your patterned papers, and it would look really lovely on any of the navy tones because it would really show off that mica as well. So really beautiful colour of mica mist, and they're so much fun to play with, the mica mist. You can do all sorts of squishy backgrounds, you can spray, you can use it with a sponge through a stencil, you can just paint with it as well, you can splatter with it, so really fun kind of product. Then the next item is also from the colour trend, and this should actually be coming out with the colour trend as well, and this is the set of washi tape, and it is called Coral Skies because it goes in the Coral Skies colour trend, and you've got three beautiful pieces on here, or different colours. You've got a gorgeous coral one with a diagonal stripe of a lighter coral and a darker coral colour. You've got a solid navy blue, which is just a gorgeous colour that's going to accent a lot of the elements within this set actually. I don't know why that's got a little bit of, I think I got some ink on that. It's not actually part of the tape, that is me doing that to it. And then the third one is a gorgeous like gingham. It reminds me of a summer dress from school. I mean, mine was red, but there were schools that had blue ones. It kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, three gorgeous washi tapes, and I've got one way of using that on some cards, and I've also shown you multiple other ways to use washi tapes in previous colour trend videos. I'm pretty sure I did it in the Christmas Magic one as well, and there will be more coming up in my colour trend video for this colour trend as well. So that is the washi tape. Then you've got a little mini version of one of the embossing powders from the new colour trend, and this one is called Coral Chic. It's a really interesting colour, this one. I did this little piece just stamping with some bubble wrap with a clear mark ink pad, and it's a really interesting colour because it's not high gloss, but it has got a little bit of shine to it, but it's also not, it's not metallic, but it's not high gloss either. It's almost like it's going for a satiny matte kind of finish, because it doesn't really shine, but it's also an interesting powder, because in some of the other applications that I've used it, I haven't got the samples to show you, but in some of the other applications that I used it, it is an opaque powder, because if you keep heating it or you put it on thicker, some white powder sort of comes out as if the colour is coating white little granules. So it's really interesting, this one. It's a really fun one to play with, and you've got a lovely little sampling here to get you going and have a play with it as well, and see if you want to get the full size pot when it comes out. But I wanted to show you that little example of it there. Then you're also getting a full-sized Nouveau embellishment mousse, and this one is the mother of pearl, so it's a beautiful light creamy sort of a colour, and works really nicely with this message in a bottle kind of theme, because you can use it to create gorgeous sand effects. It's a really good sandy kind of colour. This is a piece that I die cut out of, but I thought I'd show you the colour on there. So that is the Mother of Pearl Nouveau Embellishment Mousse. Loads of different ways of using embellishment mousses, through stencils, just making a thick kind of background. You can make a thick background and sprinkle things into it, like confettis and glitters and stuff. You can use this through a stencil and then sprinkle your embossing powder on, let the mousse dry and then heat it to give the shiny effect of the embossing powder as well. Or you can just water a little bit down, paint with it, splatter with it. There's tons of ways of using embellishment mousses. Oh, and the main way that I think this is like the main way that it was intended to be used, is to just apply a bit with your finger on top of like embossed cardstock, whether you've embossed it with an embossing folder or if it's one of the specialty cotton papers or something, to sort of pick out extra details. You can also do that if you do a faux die cut or a faux embossed background using die cuts. You can stick the die cuts all over and then use a little bit of this to kind of pick up the edges of the die cuts, so it kind of gives that embossing folder sort of look as well. So that is the embellishment mousse, and then you're also getting a full-size Nouveau drop bottle. This one is a metallic one, and it is called Ivory Seashell. So it's a gorgeous, slightly off-white kind of an ivory. This is much more of a, well, it is called Mother of Pearl, so it is more of a deeper ivory kind of a colour. They're not exactly the same tones, but they work really nicely together, and the fact that this one is more on the white side means that it works really nicely with your mica mist to create backgrounds, which is what I've showed in my tutorial kind of video, that I'm not sure if it'll be up before or after this video, but there will be a tutorial-y kind of style video showing you how to create some backgrounds with these two products. So that is your Nouveau drop that you're getting. Then you're also getting the full-sized 6x6 patterned paper pad that goes with the Coral Skies colour trend, and you're getting 8 designs and 6 of each, and they're 160 GSM. So you've got 4 pieces that are double-sided, so that's how you get the 8 designs on them. But the first one is navy blue with a gorgeous random dotty bubbly kind of pattern in the coral on top of it. It is almost in stripes and it is kind of repeated, but the little actual pattern that is repeated is really random, if that makes any sense. And then on the back of that piece, I love this one, it's like a lighter coral colour with seagulls all over it, so you can tell there's going to be seaside-y themed stuff in the die set and the stamp set. Then you've also got this gorgeous navy blue, again gorgeous deep dark navy blue. I think this would look fantastic spritzed over the top, and you've got different stripes on this, but the stripes are made up of little dots and dashes in a lighter blue colour. Then on the back of that one, I love this one as well. It's kind of like retro patterned, and it's got different tones of the coral and the blue in this beautiful leafy design. I really like this one. I think this is going to be so useful for quick and easy thank you and birthday kind of cards as well. You know, just a die cut sentiment on the top of a panel of this would look fantastic. Or you could do some cool die cutting with this into different shapes and stuff as well. I think I ended up, yeah, I did end up using it on one of my cards that I'll show you later. Then the next design is again navy blue, but it's got coral coloured hearts, and actually if you look at that, the hearts are going down in linear stripes, but they're actually slightly offset, like they're not straight up and down, they're tilted, which is nice, gives it a different kind of a look. I quite like that. I didn't really notice that they were tilted before, but that gives a really different kind of look to the patterned paper. And then on the back of that one, we've got a gorgeous polka dot design. So it's got a light coral background with dark coral and navy blue spots on it. And then the final fourth piece is a lovely stripy piece of paper with, again, a light coral kind of background, and then you've got the medium coral, the medium blue and the dark navy blue as different width stripes on there. Again, kind of giving deck chair kind of patterned paper. In a lot of these sets we get a kind of stripy one because stripes are just so useful, especially if you are trying to incorporate the you know, the two colours from the colour trend onto a project. Having a stripy patterned paper really helps you incorporate the colours and helps tie different elements together if one's one colour and one's another colour. Having the little bit of stripy patterned paper helps to tie them together. And then on the back of this one, you've got navy blue with a medium blue kind of little ear of corn, it kind of looks like. Or it could be a feather, or it could just be a leafy branch as well, whichever kind of application you want to use it for. And it's in a uniform kind of grid pattern, which again is nice and different to how the others are laid out as well. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. But these ones are not a uniform grid pattern, they've kind of got a diagonal and a straight in them. So it's, yeah, a really lovely selection of patterned papers in there, and they go perfectly with all of the cardstock in this colour trend as well. Then let's take these out and move the box out of the way. So Craft Perfect wise, I think we have 9 different sheets in here. There are 4 that are part of the new colour trend, which I will show you, but I've got them listed in a different order, so I'm going to tell you them in the order I have them listed so I get the names right. But the first one here, all 4 of these are the textured Craft Perfect. The first one is the really deep dark blue, and this is one of the new ones. This is called Pier View, so really beautiful deep dark nautical blue colour. Then we also have pistachio green, ivory white and denim blue as well as the other colours that are in there. You have green because there is a palm tree element to the kit. I didn't end up using the green in the end. I quite liked using the wacky colours for the top of the palm tree and stuff, but you do have the option to create a normal looking palm tree with a green leafy aspect to it as well if you want to. So those are the sort of textured Craft Perfect cardstocks. Then I'll keep this like this so you're not just seeing a reflection of the whole room. But the next one is one of the brand new cardstocks. This is a mirror card and it is called Italian Rose. And then the next one is also a brand new one. This one is called Coral Luster, and it's one of the double-sided pearlescent cardstocks, so I can show you that as a full sheet with the beautiful pearlescent finish on it, and that is the Coral Luster. Then we've got a specialty cardstock, and this one is called Flanders Blue, and it's really subtle patterning in there. It almost looks like brush strokes, like somebody's put thick paint onto a canvas. I don't know if my camera is going to behave enough to focus on that. I think you can kind of see it. It's really beautiful in person, but I don't think it's really coming across on the camera, that actual kind of randomness that's on there. It's really pretty though, I like that. It gives a really subtle kind of effect. I don't know if I tip it at a different angle. You can kind of, sorry, the camera's gone blurry, but you can kind of see it a bit more if I tip it at that angle maybe. Sorry for the blurriness, but I think you can kind of see that it's got that mottled sort of a pattern to it. Then the next piece is the 5th new colour of cardstock that is in this month's craft kit and in the new colour trend, and this one is called Sugared Coral. So it's a beautiful coral, but also in some light kind of orangey. If you look at this, this is sort of catching the light and turning it orange, but it is more of this coral kind of a colour. But it's really pretty. It's really nice for little subtle accents as well, but it really catches the light with a lot of different colours in there. I think it's got some sort of iridescence in there which kind of gives that shift in the colour, but it's really pretty, that one. And that is the final new one. So the 5 new cardstocks that are in this kit and in the colour trend are these 5 here. So we've got the new glitter card, which is called Sugared Coral. We have got the Speciality cardstock here, which is called Flanders Blue. We've got the pearlescent card, which is called Coral Luster. We've got the mirror card that's called Italian Rose, and we've got the classic card that is called Peer View. So that is the new selection of colours. And then the final sheet that we're getting in this craft kit is a sheet of the pure white vellums. This is the lighter weight white coloured vellum that Tonic have brought out. This is 100 GSM, this one. So a nice lightweight, and being that lighter weight works really nicely as an alternative to acetate in a shaker card, because you can still see through it nicely, and I think I did do that on one of my cards actually as well. So those are all of the Craft Perfect sheets. Then we have got the stamps and dies from this message in a bottle kit. I've got the actual sticker, so you've got message in a bottle there, really lovely with the anchor on there and the little starfish. Then we've got our little A7 stamp set, and we've also got our A5 die set, which I have put on a magnetic sheet, but yours won't come on a magnetic sheet. But I do like to keep mine on one in my little storage wallet. So the stamp set, let's look at that first. We have got a few different sentiments in here. So we've got a message for you, so glad I found you, there is no one I would rather sail through life with, thinking of you, and then best wishes as well. You've got a gorgeous coral, so you can stamp that in a coral coloured ink that you might have, a beautiful corally kind of design. You've got one of these like conch shells. You've got a smaller version of that as well. You've got a beautiful 3-masted ship, which you could turn into a pirate ship if you want to, or it works really nicely putting it inside the bottle as well. You've got a compass, and you've got a separate chain that you can stamp for the compass as well, and then you've also got an anchor in there too, which I didn't actually do it, but you could stamp a complete background just with that anchor image, or just with the boat image as well actually. I actually put my boat inside the bottle and then had the anchor as if it was under the water as well. So you can do all sorts of different scene building ideas with the little elements in this stamp set too, and the sentiments go really nicely with the kind of nautical theme too, but obviously you can just bring in happy birthday and thank you and stuff from your stash as well. So this is the die set. If I zoom you in like so, you can see there are all sorts of different scene building kind of elements in here that you can use in conjunction with each other or just as individual little elements as well. So first of all, let's look at these 2 circles. So you actually get these sort of layering circles that have got different details on them. So the outside one has got large stitches and the inside one has got pierced detail. And if I measure them for you, the diameter of the largest one is just shy of 5 inches, so it's about 12.5 centimetres, and then the smaller one is a little bit over 4.5. Is that right? Yeah, a little bit over 4.5 inches, so about 11.5 centimetres. So there's kind of like a centimetre difference in the diameter of the 2 circles, but they will mat and layer up really nicely to give you about a 5mm little border or frame, however you want to layer them solidly on top of each other or cut them together and make a little frame. So you've got those to kind of ground your scene, if you like. You can actually sort of build a scene within the centre of that. Then you have the whole sort of theme of the kit, message in a bottle. So you have this beautiful bottle die cut, which I have got one cut out here as well. Works really nicely, portrait on a card, tilted at an angle, landscape on a card. You could have 3 of them on a card. You could turn this into a wine bottle, a port bottle, probably not a champagne bottle, but maybe some kind of pressed juice or cordial or something. You could turn it into that as well if you didn't want to go with the nautical theme, but just a really lovely generic wine bottle kind of a shape really, that you can play around with. You can put the stamped boat inside it to do like the ship in the bottle idea, or you can do a scroll of paper to be the message in a bottle idea, or you could even play around with the die cut boat as well and have it kind of overlapping and the scene spilling out of the bottle shaped aperture as well. So lots of different ways of using this too. You could also maybe put it coming out of the sand and then have the little message sticking out of the neck of the bottle as well for a different look too, so you don't even have to use the whole bottle on the card. It's a nice sort of versatile kind of design that will work nicely for different projects or themes that you might want to use. And if you wanted to go more fancy with it, you can use the intricate interior detail for it as well. I didn't end up cutting this, I was just sort of using it as a solid piece or as an aperture, but you've got loads of gorgeous detail in here, really ornate, swirly, flourishy designs, and you get an oval that cuts out of the centre as well to be like sort of like the main label portion, I suppose. And some gorgeous detail going up the neck of the bottle as well, so you can really play around with making that nice and ornate too. So the next two elements, let me get a magnet so I can pick them up easier, are these two little wave pieces, and they go in different directions, so you can layer the same one on top in different colours or types of cardstock and shift them across from each other, or you can layer the two of them together and have the waves going in different directions as well. Both look nice actually, I've done both sort of options, and it just gives a beautiful little bit of water for you. And you can use these within the bottom portion of your circles if you just want to add a little bit of water down here and maybe some land in the distance and the boat in the foreground or something, or land in the foreground, water in the background, but you could put two of these pieces and hide the join behind the boat or something, or the island with the palm trees on. And you've got the two different ones there, so you could just layer that one and that one and it would fill up that front section for you, or you can do multiples of them, or you can put multiples next to each other. They do have the cut line on the ends and along the bottom as well, so you could also use these as apertures. I didn't even think about that, but an aperture of a wave would look really lovely. You could do some of those infilling Nouveau drop techniques that I have done quite a few sped up videos on in the past, where you cut the aperture out and you fill them with your Nouveau drops and you marble different colours through them. That would look really nice for waves. So you could do that kind of idea as well, or you can cut a couple of them and stick them next to each other and hide the join with whatever other elements you're putting on there as well. Then, to go with the sea, you're also getting a piece of land, which could just be a sand dune, it could be a sandbank in the water, it can be a little mini island in the water. You can use multiples to build up some sort of land mass in the front of the sea as well, so a nice little versatile piece. Or you can just rip a piece of card, cut an arched piece of card as well. It doesn't have to be a die cut to create your land, but you do have that little option there as well. Oh, it could be a rock too, actually. It could be a little rock in the water. Then you have palm trees. Let's go with the palm trees next. So these two odd looking pieces are the trunks of the palm trees, I think. That's what I use them as anyway. I presume that's what they're supposed to be, but you've got them so you can do two in the opposite directions. So you can have two palm trees together and they're going off in different directions, which is always a lovely look. And then you have the one palm tree piece, which you can put on the top of either of them. I was enjoying layering two together, cutting them from some of the different cardstocks. And it does actually have debossing detail on it as well. Sorry for my mucky fingers, I was doing those backgrounds earlier. But you've actually got large debossed details in all of these foliage pieces coming out as well. So it gives a really lovely look, whatever kind of card that you cut this into, you get those debossing details. Then let's go with the dolphin next. I love the dolphin. I didn't do my usual card that I would usually do with cutting dolphins or something like this. I do still have one of the apertures here to show you that idea. But I've done it quite a few times, so I thought you might be getting fed up of seeing it. But there's the little aperture that the dolphin cuts, and if I had been doing this card, I would have cut loads of these out of all sorts of different colours from the kit, kept the apertures and the positives as well, made a card with the positives, and then also made a card with the apertures as well, just randomly cut them into a wonky quadrilateral kind of shape and use them 3 down the middle of a card, 9 on a card. Okay, I have kind of done this idea, but with different dies, not with the dolphin die. So I'll sort of show you that later on with some of the samples. And then you could also cut or use the other ones from different colours and recess them back in. You could raise them up and make them little shakers behind using the vellum instead of acetate as well. So lots of ways of using just that gorgeous little dolphin die. And the main dolphin die cut actually cuts the eye out as well, so you can layer a bit of card behind that to give it whatever colour eye you want to as well. And these look really nice, actually cut from the Denim cardstock and sprayed with the Mica mist. I did that on a couple of my cards and they looked really nice like that. Then the next sort of like focal element is this boat here. So this is like a gorgeous little sailing boat, and you have the outside piece and you also have the interior piece. So you can cut them both together and get an outline boat, which I will show you on one of the cards, or you can just use those pieces there to stick back together like that, whether it's just straight onto the card or onto your outside bubble, and put all of those pieces back together. And I've got a card just using those pieces as well, which I'll show you later on too. But that's the gorgeous little sailing boat. Really lovely, I really like this. It works really nicely for pop art style cards as well, and I've done one of those to show you. Then you have got a starfish. So you've got the outside piece for the starfish, and you also have the interior detail as well. So you can cut the little suckers on the starfish. I'm not sure if that's on the top or the bottom. Maybe that's on the top and their suckers would be on the bottom. But you can cut those details onto the little starfish, which I think is really lovely. And you can layer another colour behind. That gorgeous glitter card works really nicely behind those little apertures because it just gives a little hint of glitter behind them. And then on a similar theme to these kind of dies with the separate outside edge, you have this gorgeous one of a shell, and the Nouveau drop that you get would make the perfect pearl to go in that kind of like oyster clam sort of shell. So really, really pretty. But not only can you use this one as like a solid shell shape, both of them together to give the outline, the piece that falls out of that is really lovely. It looks a little bit like Art Deco-y, and I've actually used the waste pieces from the pieces that I'd meant to cut. I kept all the waste pieces and actually just stuck them white on white to a card that I was doing as well. So a nice little versatile shell. And then you also have this shell as well, which I didn't end up using, but this is the kind of shell you'd find a hermit crab living in, I think. But yeah, another kind of variation on a shell, and actually that has a beautiful water drop shape inside it as like a waste piece. So if you wanted any water splashes, there's the perfect little water drop inside there as well, as a little fall away piece. So that is that shell. Then I think I'll hold the rest up so I'm not sort of moving them around and losing all these tiny little dies. But we've also got 3 little bubbles together, so you can cut that coming out of this fish's mouth, or you can just have the separate bubbles. I had put some Nouveau drops on the centre of the palm tree, but I had cut the palm tree from mirror card, and so obviously all of the drops smushed together, and I don't know why I didn't think that would happen, but I didn't. And so what I did was I came back with this little die and cut them out of the corresponding colour, and then just placed them in the wet Nouveau drops, so it kind of looked like coconuts in the tree as well. So that's another way of using those little bubbles. Then a gorgeous little fish, which has got debossing details in it again. It looks fantastic, cut from the mirror card that's in this kit. Really, really beautiful. A tiny little starfish as well, if you want a smaller little starfish to go with a wreathy kind of design, like one of the ones that I've created. You've got a lovely little sun, or it could be a saw blade as well for a different kind of card, but it's sort of like a swooshing sun, and you have the separate circle in the centre, so you can cut the circle out or lay the circle back on top as well. This one's really sweet. It's got 3 little seagulls in it, so you've got gorgeous little seagulls flying in silhouette sort of form. They look fantastic actually when they're cut out. Even this one with the sort of weird perspective, it does go quite nicely. They kind of fly off in that direction though, they're sort of flying that way, but they're really lovely little seagulls. Then we have a few pieces of foliage. We've got this piece here, this piece here, and this piece here. This is supposed more like corally kind of stuff, and these are more like pointy kind of plant pieces. I'm not really sure what kind of seaweed they are, but I'm sure there is a kind of seaweed that they look like. I've just not sure what it's called. But yeah, really lovely foliagey pieces. I actually used them cut from the cream, the green, and the vellum. And I did use the green then. I forgot I'd used the green cardstock. I think I said earlier that I hadn't used the green. Anyway, you can I just layered them all together into a wreath kind of design, and then used some of the elements as like little decorations for the wreath as well, including this gorgeous little shell that has debossing details on it as well. Really like that little shell too. And then we have the most adorable little crab, and on both of the cards where I used the crab, I put tiny googly eyes on him because I just thought he needed little eyes. So he works really well just by himself or with little eyes on too. And then finally we have 2 dies for cutting out your sentiments, and I'll show you them with the stamp set as well. So this larger one will even fit that bigger sentiment there, or you can go with the more scripty looking sentiment and cut that out, or you have the smaller little die that will work with the thinking of you and the message for you, and actually this bigger one will also work really nicely with that tiny little best wishes down there as well. So those are all of the dies and stamps and everything that's in the kit. I'll put this away so I don't lose it, and then I'll come back and show you. I think I've got like 7 or 8 samples to show you. Okay, so these are all of the samples that I've created. This is the one that I've done the little tutorial video on to show you how to create the background, but it's just a really simple card with a beautiful Nouveau background using the Nouveau drops and the Mica mist, and then I've just torn a strip of one of the pattern papers, heat embossed the sentiment. I did use white from my stash rather than the coral colour, and then I've just left the speckly effect. You know when you haven't used an anti-static bag properly and you get the speckly effect? I quite like the look of that with this sort of like stormy sky or rough sea sort of a look. And then to get the larger speckles, I splattered with some water on a paintbrush and then put the embossing powder on there and then heat set it as well. And then this is where I've used the interior pieces of the boat, so you don't have to use the bubble of the boat at all. You can just put those interior pieces back on. I think it gives a really nice striking silhouette kind of look for the little sailboat as well. So that is the first card. Then this one is a shaker card. You can hear it shaking around. This isn't in the kit, but this was from the Blue Blossom colour trend, which was a similar colourway. I think it was definitely more on the peachy, reddy kind of side with the navy blue rather than being the corally sort of colour. But I used the Bluebell Hearts from that colour trend from years ago to go with this. You can't really see them that well, but I'd used the heart patterned paper behind the vellum, so I wanted to go for some heart confetti, and I thought that navy blue colour would go really nicely. And this is just using the bottle as an aperture, putting a few of the waves behind in some of the Texture Craft Perfect and the vellum, and then cutting that sand piece from some of the Nouveau mousse that I'd applied to a piece of card and then let dry, and it's given like a sandy kind of texture. I've got some of the glitter card for the 2 little starfish and the back piece of the palm tree. I've done pearlescent card and mirror card to layer up the little crab, and I've put the tiny googly eyes on him as well. And then this is the one where I put the Nouveau drops onto mirror card and thought they would stay separate, but no, they all merged together, so I just put the little pieces from the bubble die on there just to make it look like it was more of a feature rather than an accident. I could have just wiped it off whilst it was wet, but I thought I'd just show you how you can kind of disguise something like that if it happens to you as well. The reason why I did it was because mirror card is a really slick surface, so the Nouveau drops, instead of getting to a certain point and then stopping and self-leveling into a dome, they kind of just keep going and spread until they want to stop, and it's usually spreading into whatever's next to it as well. So 3 little dots just became one sort of triangular blob, but I think it works sticking the other bits on top of it. And then I've just put the little seagulls in there as well, cutting them from the luxury cardstock and the darkest blue cardstock. And then I've stamped a message for you and layered it up with a little bit of the mirror card to kind of tie in the crab and the palm tree as well. So that's that one. Then this is a gorgeous aperture kind of card, so you've got the aperture there with a load of the mousse in the background, and then a die cut from one of the extra bits of mousse, and I also used the cream card in the foreground to give more of a sandy sort of look as well. These are the waste pieces from the shells that I was cutting out for one of the later cards, but don't they just look lovely? And they really do remind me of like Art Deco, like fans or something, but they work really nicely as a white on white kind of element as well. So definitely save those waste pieces, or just use the waste pieces as well, and have the extra outside sort of shell pieces for a different project too. But another sort of scene building kind of a card, I've made the dolphin jump out of the aperture, and I put googly eyes on the crab again, so I put a googly eye on the actual dolphin too. These kind of eyes make them look a little bit beady and weird, because they've actually got like spheres inside them rather than the little discs, so they really wobble around quite a lot. But I think they look alright. It's a fun kind of card. And I did Thinking of You as a sentiment. I've done 2 palm trees on this one. I've got the seagulls again, and I've got layered up different pieces of sea there as well. The darkest navy, the specialty card, one of the patterned papers with the sort of ear of corn or leafy, feathery kind of pattern on it as well. So that's just another sort of scene building one. They're very similar, those two. But I quite liked using the coral colour for the palm tree, and you can see here actually the difference. This one, I only offset them slightly so you can see the 2 types of card, but this one I offset a lot more. I think I prefer just the offset slightly, but it depends what look you're going for really. If you want a really full palm tree look, then twisting them a little bit more does look quite nice, but I think I prefer slightly twisted for the palm trees. Then the next one that I've done is a gorgeous wreath card. So again, I had to put the googly eyes on the dolphins again. And this is using the green, the cream and the vellum to create the main sort of like foliage elements of the wreath. And I also stuck this onto a torn circle of vellum. So I just roughly tore a circle of vellum. And then I put some of the waves behind the vellum, so it's really nice and subtle with those wavy patterns. And there's one from the pattern paper, one from vellum, and one from the, I think that's the denim cardstock in the background there. Then the dolphins are sprayed with the Mica mist. They're cut from denim and sprayed with the Mica mist. The fish are from the metallic mirror card, and then the shells are from the pearlescent card, and you can see all those beautiful debossing details on them as well. They just look so lovely. And then I've just added in a few random little Nouveau drops as well, so it kind of looks like little pearls or bubbles within the wreath kind of design. This one is using that beautiful leafy paper in the background, and I almost tried to make this one like a film strip kind of idea. So I cut some squares. They were 2.5 inches or about 6.5 centimetres from the specialty blue, the dark navy blue, the mirror card and the pearlescent card as well. And I actually cut 2 from each type because I used them on one of the cards later on. I'll show you that one as well actually. But so I was doing this card and I cut enough to make a second one because I wasn't sure if I was going to do that as my tutorial demo for you, but I decided to show you the Nouveau background instead. So I used all of the excess pieces to make this card, and instead of just swapping the bits and pieces over like I did on this one, I actually stuck 3 of the apertures to a piece of white card and trimmed it to be a little white border. This one I left the white in the centre and just put the navy blue intricate detail back on top, but these 2 I snipped out the interior white. You could have done it with the die as well, I just didn't really think. You could have stuck the outside on and then recessed the interior die back in and run it back through and die cut it out, but I did just use my scissors, but you could definitely recess the die back in and do that. So you've got the paper showing through the top and bottom boat, but the middle boat is solid with the white colour. And then I've done There Is No One I Would Rather Sail Through Life With as the sentiment on that one. So a kind of a film strip sort of design. And then the original idea that this one kind of sprang from with the leftover pieces was this one, which is similar to my Pop Art Pumpkins card that I showed in my Halloween video because I really liked that one. And the way I've kind of just like swapped them opposites each other, and you know, I think I explained in that one how I swapped all the colours, but this is just 2 colours but 4 different kinds of card. So I swapped the outsides of these diagonally and the outsides of those diagonally, and then these ones I just shifted the card round. So the interior piece of the navy blue one is from the one that's next to it. The interior piece of the mirror card is the navy blue because it's next to it, and vice versa. So I just wanted to show sort of how I'd swap those around as well. I did some little white stitches with a white gel pen on the 2 navy blue ones, and then to tie the white gel pen detail in, I did some little dot circle patterns patterns. They look much better on this card because this has got a texture on it. They went a little bit wibbly, but they still look alright. So that was just sort of extra doodles to kind of add a little bit of white back into the designs. And then again, I've used that same sentiment because it goes with the boat. So that is that one. Then I did this one, which is using the actual bottle as it's kind of intended to put the ship inside the bottle. I know it's called message in a bottle, but I kind of think of a ship inside a bottle. So I've stamped, first of all, I stamped the boat here, and then I sort of decided or twisted the bottle to make sure the water level was straight after I'd stamped the boat, and then I did the anchor straight down from it. I drew my own little sort of chain going from the boat to the anchor. I drew in the rest of the waterline with a couple of little splashes where the anchor's gone in the water, and then I just drew some little clouds in there as well. I think the clouds are maybe a tiny bit wonky. They should have maybe been more down a little bit, but anyway. I also drew a few little birds in the distance, and I added some of the seagull die cuts on the top as well to give a little bit of perspective. I kept the colouring really simple on this, so I've used a bit of coral to tie that in from the background, but I coloured the anchor in grey and the sails in with some light grey colours, and just kept some really light blues and greys in the water, so it's not too bold and in your face. The background is more of the bold colour. And the way I did the background was I trimmed that gorgeous seagull paper down to be my kind of a size, and then I just used the gingham and the diagonal stripe washies and added little elements on there, and you can see how the washies are translucent, so you can see the seagulls through them, so it gives a really lovely effect. And then in some areas I had a little bit of leftover of the patterned paper, so I just put a little piece on and ripped it to give a different kind of effect. It kind of gives a third patterned washi tape kind of a look, because the third washi tape is solid blue, so I wanted another pattern, and I think that works really nicely. And then on the bottle, you might be thinking, hang on, there's only one bottle die, how have I got the black around the edge? Well, I did have to cut that myself, so all I did was I stuck the white bottle onto a piece of black card and then just used my Tim Holtz snips, you know, the little small ones. They're great for cutting round things. And just tried to do as an even of a border as I could. It's not perfect, it goes a little bit off up here, but it just helped the bottle kind of stand out from the card. And then to tie that in, I did the sentiment in the same way. I put a little, I could have used the banner to cut that out actually, but I'm so used to just snipping around sentiments with my scissors that I didn't even think to use the die cut in the kit. But you could definitely use the banner to cut that out, and then freehand cut the black to go around the edge, or cut the white normally and put it on a black banner as well, whatever way round you want to do it. But I quite liked how that card came out. I think it looks really sweet having the ship inside the bottle. And then the final card is another one of these sort of ones using the kind of square design, or kind of making a tile design really. And I'd made the boat one first, and then this is why I didn't do the dolphin one, because I thought, well, it would have been too similar to this. But if I was doing the dolphin one, I probably would have gone 3 dolphins down a card, or made more of maybe like a landscape 5x7 would work nicely for the 9, because the dolphin's more of a sort of a landscape sort of shape. Or you could have cut these into squares and then just done a larger square card with the 9 of them as well. But I love that dolphin shape. It's really sweet, the little aperture. I'm not sure if I have a dolphin die actually. This could be my first dolphin die. I can't think of an individual dolphin die that I have. I have other things that have dolphins in, but I don't think I do actually have a dolphin die. But yeah, lovely little shape, that one. And so I've done a similar kind of thing that I would have done with the dolphin, but with the starfish. So I've cut starfishes out of 4 little rectangles. These were 1.5 inches square. And I cut 2 from the mirror card, 2 from the pearlescent card. I cut the starfish from each of those with the detail and swapped them. And then behind the starfish is the beautiful glitter card. I don't know. There's also something else behind that one, but I got it out. But behind the starfish there is that beautiful glitter card. I think I've got a scrap of it here still. Really, really gorgeous. And just adding that tiny little bit behind there, it just pokes through nicely and catches the light. Then these 2 are the denim card. The middle one is the newest really dark blue colour, and these 2 are the luxury cardstock. Again, 1.5 inches. And I sprayed the 3 textured ones with the mica mist, so they've actually got a bit of mica mist on them. And then I have used the white die cut shells, which I had used the interiors on that previous card, to accent all of these squares. And I then put some extra of those gorgeous little shells on these 2 opposite corners. And you might be wondering, why did I just put it on those 2 opposite corners? But I put Nouveau drops, again, too close to each other on a slick surface, and what happened? They all merged together. So I used one of those little shells to hide that. I did try to pick those ones off and it didn't work, so I just hid it with the little shell, but I quite like that. And I added a little bit of the mica mist onto the shell as well, so it kind of ties in the mica mist that's going across diagonally there. And I did do more Nouveau drops on the corners, and I can actually show you the kind of effect. So these drops were the same size. On this card, because it's the pearlescent card, it is more of a slick surface, but it has a sort of a slight texture to it, so they stayed the size that I made them. Whereas this card is the mirror card, it's really slick and slippery, so they have like sploshed out a little bit more. If you look at the dome of them, you can see this one's much more domed than this one. So just a little warning about what kind of cardstock you do your Nouveau drops on. If you did want to have the Nouveau drops in the centre of this one, you could definitely just pre-make them on a backing piece from some double-sided tape, and then you could stick them on afterwards, and then you wouldn't have the problem of them blending together. So that is the final card that I've done. So I hope you enjoyed this Tonic Craft Kit unboxing video for kit number 61, which is Message in a Bottle, and it also shows us the first sneaky peeks of the Coral Skies colour trend, which is the 3rd colour trend for 2022 from Tonic and Nouveau and Craft Perfect. So hopefully it won't be too long before the colour trend launches, and I'll have videos for you for that as well. But hopefully you enjoyed this lovely little sneak peek of the gorgeous Coral Skies colour trend with the beautiful navy blues and the corally colours as well. And hopefully I gave you enough inspiration with all of the cards that I've done too, using the dies and stamps from the set and some of the Nouveau. And if you do want to see how to make this background with the Nouveau drops and the mica mists, do check out my tutorial kind of video where I do a little quick introduction of the kit and all of the items that are in there, just really speedily go through it, and then I show you how to create the backgrounds and different variations on different colours of cardstock as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!